You're walking through tall grass at dusk, 40,000 years ago, and you hear it, a rustle, right behind you. You don't think. You spin around, heart slamming, absolutely certain something is there. And usually, it's just the wind. But here's the thing. The ancestor who assumed just the wind and was wrong got eaten. The ancestor who assumed something's there and was wrong just felt a little silly for a second. So your brain quietly evolved a rule. When in doubt, assume something is out there and assume it has intentions. That tiny life-saving twitch of paranoia might just be the seed of every god humanity has ever prayed to. So what did ancient humans actually believe? And why do humans, in every single corner of the planet, believe in something at all? Let's get into it. Start with that reflex, because psychologists have a name for it. Agency detection. Researchers like Guthrie and Justin Barrett argue that the human brain comes preloaded to assume that things are caused by someone, not something. A shadow, a noise, a moving bush. Your first instinct isn't physics, it's who's there. It's the very same wiring that makes you see a face in a car's headlights, a man in the moon, or a figure in a pile of laundry at 3 a.m. Psychologists call that pareidolia, your mind slapping a face and a mind onto pure random noise. You do it every single day, and evolutionarily it's genius. Your brain would rather flinch at 1,000 imaginary tigers than miss the one real one. The trouble is, a brain tuned that finally doesn't switch off, so it starts seeing minds everywhere. The storm isn't weather, it's angry. The river isn't water, it's alive. The mountain is watching. The dead are not gone, they're just elsewhere, still keeping an eye on you. The anthropologist Edward Tylor pointed out, back in 1871, that dreams supercharge this. When you sleep and meet a relative who died last winter, alive and talking, your waking brain concludes that part of them must still exist. A spirit, a soul, and notice, you cannot turn this off. Even people who swear they believe in nothing still talk to their dead, knock on wood, and feel a room go cold. The psychologist Pascal Boyer puts it plainly. Religion isn't a glitch, and it isn't a sign that ancient people were stupid. It's the natural byproduct of a perfectly normal, pattern-hunting, mind-detecting human brain, doing exactly what it evolved to do. Your brain is frankly a paranoid genius, and gods are partly what happens when a paranoid genius is left alone in the dark. For most of history, belief leaves no trace. You can't dig up a thought. But around 40,000 years ago, in a cave in Germany, someone carved something that changes everything. It's called the Lion Man, the Löwenmensch, a figurine about a foot tall, sculpted from a mammoth tusk. And it's not a lion, it's not a human. It's a standing human body with the head of a cave lion. Think about what that means. It is the oldest known image of something that does not exist. Nobody had ever seen a lion-headed man because there's no such thing, which means somebody imagined it, then spent an estimated 400 hours carving it into ivory with stone tools. 400 hours on a creature from a world that only existed inside their own head. The first thing we can prove a human imagined wasn't a better spear or a nicer bowl. It was a god monster, priorities. And here's a clue that something huge had shifted for hundreds of thousands of years before this. Our ancestors left almost no art at all. And then, right around this time, it explodes. Carvings, cave paintings, jewelry, flutes, gods. Scientists sometimes call it the creative explosion, the moment the human imagination fully switched on. And one of the very first things it did with that brand new power was invent the supernatural. Deep inside caves like Chauvet and Lascaux, far past daylight, in the dark, dangerous galleries no one ever lived in, people painted animals, and strange half-human, half-beast figures the experts call sorcerers. The archaeologist David Lewis Williams argues those deep caves were sacred spaces, that people crawled down into the earth, into total darkness, to enter trance states and meet the spirit world, then painted what they saw on the way back out. The shaman, the one who talks to the unseen, was quite possibly the first priest, the first artist, and the first doctor, all in one person. Now here's where it gets genuinely strange. We always told the story of civilization in one order. First humans invent farming, then farming makes extra food makes towns, towns make leisure, and leisure, eventually, makes religion. Belief was supposed to be the dessert, served last. Then archaeologists dug up a hill in southern Turkey called Göbekli Tepe, and it broke the timeline. Göbekli Tepe is a complex of massive carved stone pillars, some over 16 feet tall, weighing many tons, arranged in great rings and covered with carved foxes, snakes, vultures, and scorpions. As far as we know, it is the oldest temple on Earth, and it was built around 11,600 years ago by hunter-gatherers. No metal tools, no wheel, No writing, no farming, no town anywhere near it. The excavator, Klaus Schmidt, realized this flips the whole story on its head. Now, you might think it's a stretch to call a pile of very old rocks a religion. Fair. But you do not drag 16-ton stone pillars across a landscape, carve them by hand, and raise them in a ring, with no machines and no boss forcing you, for fun. People came together, from far and wide, to build this. And the leading idea is staggering. Maybe belief came first. Maybe the need to gather, to worship, to build something sacred together is exactly what pulled scattered bands of humans into one place. And feeding all those gathered workers is part of what pushed us to invent farming at all. We may not have built temples because we had civilization. We may have built civilization because we wanted the temple. And there's a final twist on the twist. After centuries of use, the builders deliberately buried Göbekli Tepe, packed the whole thing in rubble on purpose, and walked away. We still don't really know why. A pile of rocks, sure, but a pile of rocks someone hauled across the land, carved with love, worshipped at for generations, and then tucked into the earth like a body laid in a grave. So what did ancient humans believe? In spirits, in the dead who never fully leave, in animals that were also gods, and humans that were also beasts, in a world absolutely crowded with invisible minds. And they didn't believe these things because they were simple, or fooled, or just waiting around for science to rescue them. They believed because of the exact same equipment you are using right now. A brain that hunts for patterns, that assumes intention, that dreams of the dead, and that simply cannot accept that a person you love is just gone. Every cathedral, every myth, every prayer whispered at a bedside is the distant descendant of a rustle in the grass and a face seen in a dream. We are the species that fills the dark with meaning. So the next time you're alone in an empty room and feel, for no reason at all, that something is watching, don't be embarrassed. That's not weakness. That's 40,000 years of being human, doing exactly what it was built to do. This is Sketchient. Subscribe and stay curious about where we came from.